Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, and welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host Kieran Mack as always, and delighted you've been able to tune in with us yet again for another show. Now before we do get into the top 4 trending stories here in Thailand, don't forget to like this video and please do subscribe to the channel. Now also don't forget to hit that notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when the next Thai Expat Daily Show is uploaded onto the platform. Now if you do like listening to us on a podcast player, look down below in the description to a link which will take you to a vast array of podcast players. And finally, if you like the show, if you want to support the show, you can do so by buying me a coffee down below using the link for buymeacoffee.com. So now that's all done and dusted, let's jump into the top 4 stories. Now, as we brought you in the last episode of the Thai Expat Daily Show, Thaksin Shinawatra has returned to Thailand. He spent 12 hours in the Bangkok remand prison before he had to be taken over to the police hospital, and he's on the 14th floor in the royal suite now. And basically he's in the 14th floor. They claim there's no air condition. The room he's in is air conditioning's broken, so he hasn't got any luxuries up there in the royal suite. But some activists are seeking answers about favours for Thaksin, and probably rightly so. Activists on Thursday pressed authorities to look into whether Thaksin Shinawatra received a special favour when he was admitted to Police General Hospital just hours after he started his 8-year prison term. Well-known petitioner Srettha Thavisin brought his complaint to the National Anti-Corruption Commission. He wants the NACC to look into the decision by the Department of Corrections to transfer the former Prime Minister to Police General Hospital only for hypertension. He filed the complaint a day after authorities said the 74-year-old prisoner's multiple health conditions justified the referral to a hospital that is better equipped than the medical facilities at the Bangkok remand prison. Earlier, when Thaksin was living abroad, he appeared to be in good health and fit enough to travel frequently between countries, Mr. Srettha said. The activist also took issue with reports that Thaksin would not have to wear his hair short like other male inmates. At the Ministry of Justice, an activist group led by Pichai Chaimongkal and Nasar Yima told officials that the public was questioning the way the Department of Corrections was treating Thaksin. They also asked if Thaksin was really severely ill, given the number of online pictures showing him looking quite healthy in recent times. Sahakan Petnarin, the ministry's deputy permanent secretary, said that when prisoners had life-threatening health problems, they must be referred to a hospital in accordance with corrections regulations. Now, Nasti Tongplad, the governor of Bangkok Remand Prison, said Thaksin remained at Police General Hospital, and during his first 5 days there, from Wednesday to Sunday, he would be quarantined and have no visitors during this time. Afterwards, he said authorities would allow Thaksin to see 10 people who had already expressed their intention to visit him. He declined to name the expected visitors. Thaksin returned to the country on Tuesday after 15 years of self-imposed exile. On the same day, the Supreme Court ordered him imprisoned for a total of 8 years based on convictions in 3 cases. Thaksin was brought to Bangkok Remand Prison early Tuesday morning, but shortly after midnight, he was sent to Police General Hospital. So that's kind of a bit of an update on the whole situation. I think most people, when they've heard the story, they laugh to themselves, thinking that you cannot believe that the Thai people are this stupid and this gullible to be buying this kind of stuff. Now, I just read that a doctor who is somewhat anti-Thaksin has said that he would be delighted to go and inspect Thaksin to see how he is and see how his health is, because he too doesn't believe he's quite as ill as mentioned. He has suggested that Thaksin brought his own medical papers, and that's what all these illnesses are being based upon, and they could be fraudulent papers, because he says he has looked very well. He even looked well when he arrived at Don Mueang Airport 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. So there is a lot of talk, and I think most of us looking at this know that this is all just bullshit. This is a way for this guy to be sitting upstairs. Of course, we've seen no pictures. If they wanted to sort all this out, they could have shown pictures of him at the Police General Hospital on the 14th Royal Suite floor, but they haven't done that. And of course they'll say, well, that's a prisoner's privacy. Well, there's plenty of videos and pictures of prisoners in Thailand in Bangkok Remand Prison, so I see no reason why they shouldn't release pictures of him in bed and show us what kind of room he's in. He is a prisoner, and he seems to be getting away with absolute everything here. He has evaded the law for close to 15 to 17 years. He's been a thorn in Thailand's side, and certainly from progressing over the last number of years, and he's interfered in politics greatly. Whether you're for or against him, I think you should be able to say that, most people can say that, what they're seeing here is not correct. Now, a majority of people I've spoken to, a lot of Thai people, when I mention it, they giggle because they know it's all nonsense. And that's where we are on this story. We're at the stage now, we're just waiting to see when he's going to get his royal pardon. That has to be coming next, in the next couple of days. But, of course, for all we know, he could be at home because there's been no pictures of him in prison. Nothing since he left Don Muang Airport. So he could be anywhere for all we know. There could be a double of himself, in the Bangkok remand prison or in the Bangkok hospital. Nobody knows. And this is what people are asking for, proof to all of what's been said. And of course, as we know, this government, we think, has been formed in a deal to be able to get this guy back to Thailand. But nevertheless, that's where it all stands at the moment. And we'll move on to the next story. Now, the next story is quite interesting. I read a couple of additional pieces to this, which I will tell you at the end. But Pheu Thai to stick to the digital wallet plan. Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin on Wednesday insisted the Pheu Thai-led government will press ahead with the party's 10,000 baht digital handout policy immediately after his cabinet is royally endorsed. Now, he was actually royally endorsed last night. The pledge came after he was royally appointed as the country's 30th Prime Minister. This is our main policy. We will go ahead with it after the cabinet is royally endorsed, he said. He said he did not see any apps stating Pheu Thai will scrap the policy going viral on the internet. Such apps have created confusion about the policy. Many have cast doubt over the possibility of the new government implementing the Pheu Thai Party's 10,000 baht digital money handout policy, as well as other key policies promised in the run-up to the May 14th election. The digital currency giveaway could cost up to 560 billion baht, which would be diverted from an unspecified wing of the government, the Budget Bureau said on Wednesday. As soon as the new government takes office, the Bureau will issue a report detailing the fiscal situation of the country and call for more discussions with other relevant agencies, said the Bureau director. The Bureau alone cannot presently give any assurances as the implementation of the flagship policy, he said. Now the Bureau is waiting to hear from the new government, but it's committed to supporting this policy as much as it can. The report will give a clear picture on how much money the government has in hand and what it could do with it, he said. More reports are expected to follow. The budget planning for the 2024 fiscal year will need to be adjusted and budget earmarked for certain projects which are now considered less urgent in the new government's view will possibly have to be diverted to fund the digital money handout project, he said. Now, as for the minimum 600 baht daily wage and the 25,000 baht starting monthly salary, the government couldn't push to implement them without support from the private sector, and this is some more news. So basically, the promises that be made by the Pheu Thai Party: one, we will not go into government with any of these uncle junta parties, broken. The 600 baht daily wage, which should be implemented by 2027, well, we're not sure if we're going to get that done. The 25,000 baht starting monthly salary policy, and that's for, let's say, fresh graduates with a degree. We don't know if we're going to be able to do that now. And the 10,000 baht, by the way, they may not be able to do it. It's interesting that they state that this is our main policy. A 10,000 baht giveaway is their main policy. The country is in trouble when this is the kind of stuff. This is your main policy, to hand out 10,000 baht to everybody who's over 16, and you can only spend it within 4 kilometers of your registered address. It's just a terrible way to spend money. There's no control over it. Is people going to be allowed to do whatever they want with this 10,000? I mean, it seems like such a silly idea. 10,000 baht will be gone very quickly with anybody. I mean, shouldn't the government be focusing on the poor and needy in the country and trying to raise people who are at the bottom level of the economy, people who are the worst looked after in the country, the poorest of people? Bringing them up. That should be their priority. But their main policy is a 10,000 baht giveaway. You know you're in trouble when that's the main policy for a country. And I think the Thai people are going to be in trouble with this government. I was reading an interesting fact that Pheu Thai have 141 seats in the lower house. And if you take the PPRP junta party and the Bumjai Thai, which were former junta parties, right, they have more seats. So I don't think it's going to be smooth sailing for Pheu Thai. And I think they're going to have severe issues getting things through, especially if some of these parties that they're in government with decide that they're not and don't like some of their policies and band together. And this is going to be very rocky road. I mean, I think it could bring down the government very quickly if things get shaky with them and Pheu Thai don't start getting their way. A lot of people are calling the new Prime Minister a puppet for Thaksin Shinawatra. I mean, they could be right, they could be wrong. But yeah, I just don't understand this government at the moment. This idea that it's a government of reconciliation is complete nonsense. Most observers will say that a deal has been done to get Thaksin Shinawatra back and for Pheu Thai to be in government at the same time, which is exactly what has happened. And he came back on the day of the vote for a Pheu Thai-led Prime Minister, which he got their votes eventually. So that's where the government is and the country is at the moment. I'm not sure this is a positive news for Thailand. I mean, I really would like it to be, but when a 10,000 baht cash giveaway, and we're talking about 10,000 baht, 250, 300 euro, that's your main policy, you're in a lot of trouble, I think. But nevertheless, we'll move on to something that's a little more serious. And I think the Phuket authorities, certainly their minds are in the right place. Road safety campaign inches forward. The Phuket Provincial Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Office is to create a map to be handed out to tourists highlighting the main roads across the island and the locations of the high-risk points. The map is to be featured in 3 languages, the Phuket Road Safety Committee has announced. The news came at the 5th meeting of the Phuket Road Safety Committee to be held this year, this time held yesterday at the offices of the Patong municipality. The Phuket Vice Governor was there and he was attended with various other government ministries. The committee agreed to move ahead with its plan to create a standard rental contract for car and motorbike rental operators to use when renting vehicles out to tourists. The PLTO is to work in consultation with the Phuket Public Prosecutor's Office to draft a standard contract, which is also to be made available in 3 languages, said an official report of the meeting. The committee affirmed its guidelines for car and motor rental operators to comply with as follows. The person renting the vehicle must have a valid appropriate driver's license. Good start. People who rent motorbikes must wear a helmet at all times when riding the motorbike. Cars and motorbike rental operators must not hold tourist passports as a requirement of renting out vehicles. Car and motor rental operators must check the readiness of the renter's physical condition before renting the vehicle to them. The vehicle being rented out must be fully registered with its road tax up to date and must be covered under the Road Accident Victims Protection Act of 2535. Very good idea. And car and motorbike rental operators must ensure the vehicle and all accessories are correct. Correct and working order, I think, should be more phrased there. Following the accident on June 19, which saw 2 men in a pickup killed by a runaway 6-wheeler truck descending Patong Hill, the committee resolved to have signs posted in Thai and English warning motorists use low gear intermittently or use low gear only. Also, a sign clearly marking the time large vehicles may be driven over Patong Hill is to be installed in front of Wat Patong. Now, following an accident on August 11 in front of the Husapan Market in Ratsada, officials on the committee agreed to have the following actions taken. 1. Have the road surface repaired where there are holes in the road. 2. Mark traffic lines to be clearly visible. 3. And have 3 speed bumps installed marked by poles with yellow flashing warning lights. 2 rumble strips are also to be installed on the bridge to Koh Sara, 1 on the middle of the bridge and 2 at the far end of the bridge. Vice Governor Anupap said the measures were aimed at increasing the effectiveness of road accident prevention. Now, all sectors must work together to prevent accidents in Phuket and to produce tangible results, he said. Officials are to implement a road safety plan set out in July with special focus on preventing more tourist deaths in Phuket and ensuring that people on motorbikes were wearing helmets 100%, he said. To me, a little bit of good news, common sense in terms of the renting of cars and motorbikes here in Phuket, and especially motorbikes. I don't think the problem is as much cars, but number 1, make sure you have a proper driving license and a correct driving license for driving a motorbike, not a international driving license for a car and then renting out a motorbike. 2, ensuring that people have motorbike helmets. And then, of course, the renter having the proper insurance on the car or motorbike. So, example, on the motorbike, if you have an accident, there is a government insurance you should have, and that would pay for some of the accidents and some of the bills for people when they do have accidents on the road. I mean, we don't want accidents, but, at the end of the day, no matter how safe you make things, there will always be accidents. I think it's all common sense in terms of wearing motorbike helmets and this 100% thing they're talking about. They're not. That'll never happen because the police are not on the roads here in Phuket or in Thailand to implement that. And that's the bottom line. A couple of checkpoints here and there every now and again is not going to do it. I mean, in fact, if you go through Phuket at times and you'll see there'll be traffic and they'll have traffic police standing directing traffic as people are flying by with no helmets on them, going through these traffic junctions, and nothing's ever done. No one's ever pulled over. So there's no real implementation of the laws here in Phuket. It's just a case of once in a while we'll make it look like we're doing something, and it's great we can put signposts out to say 100% helmet, but nobody's going to be there to ensure that it's happening. And that's always the case here in Phuket. As I've said many, many times, if you want to cure the problems here in the roads in Phuket, one, make the roads a little bit better because a lot of them are in bad shape. Two, have the police doing their jobs. Pull over people, start giving them tickets. Start confiscating bikes when it happens a couple of times. Ensure that foreigners renting bikes or tourists renting bikes have the proper license, the proper insurance, and are, capable of driving on the roads here in Phuket. And of course, driver education for everyone so that they know what they're doing and they know that driving here in Thailand is dangerous. But I mean, if the police never do anything and they just sit around and they're not going to implement and ensure that the laws are being enforced on a daily basis, then you're never going to have any real change. That's just my opinion on that. But I'd love to know your opinion down below as always. And finally, a Grab taxi driver smashes a tour bus window in a road rage dispute. And this is in Phuket again. Local police were called to defuse a road rage incident between a tour bus driver and a Grab motorcycle driver on the main road through Pat Clock in Phuket yesterday. Now, the altercation unfolded yesterday afternoon near the PTT petrol station. The tour bus, registered under Pompran Co Limited, bore the brunt of the dispute with his driver's side window shattered. Now, according to the bus driver, the dispute arose as a small van attempted to turn onto a narrow road just as he was pulling out onto the main road. In an attempt to allow him passage, the van momentarily stopped. Meanwhile, a motorcyclist identified as Yurapong Khao Suk was travelling in the same direction but had to quickly avoid colliding with the tour bus pulling out. Expressing displeasure over the sudden exit from the side street, Yurapong resorted to using his helmet to shatter a window of the bus. He argued that large vehicles should give way to smaller ones. Police Colonel Chanita of the Talang police station soon arrived to resolve the dispute. At last report, the bus driver and the motorcycle rider Yurapong were both asked to join Captain Chanita at the Talang police station so she could further question both of them. In the end, Yurapong was charged with causing damage to another person's property. And rightly so, he should be charged. I mean, there's no excuse for violence. It is interesting that he argued that the larger vehicle should give way to the smaller one. This must be a new traffic law. So he based his whole violence and his smashing the window based on his idea of this is what should be the case rather than what is the case many times. It is quite funny, but this is the standard of driving you see around the place. Uneducated in terms of traffic rules and regulations on the road, and just this idea that violence is the way to go when something goes wrong for you. And I feel sorry I hope there wasn't people on the bus because it probably was a scary situation. But nevertheless, it seems that this guy will probably get his comeuppance, more than likely a fine. But there'll be no jail time and stuff like that. But anyway, that is it for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed the stories. As always, we'll be back again in the next couple of days. Stay safe and thanks once again. Have a great day. Bye-bye. But ultimately, with this story or anything else that stood out to you today, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Because yes, this is a news show, but it's also a conversation. Now keep that conversation going. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and do all the good stuff that does help that YouTube algorithm. But ultimately, my name is Kieran Mack. You've been listening to the Thai Expat Daily Show, and we will see you next time.